In this lesson, I'm going to demonstrate the concept of time and how to work and convert time. So basically everything to do with time functionality and conversions. So let's jump right in. Let's take a look at our current time first. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on import the module here, import time, and do a print. The time is, and then simply display. Use the time method. Of course, need a quotation here, or maybe right after the colon. Let me go ahead and save this, and we're going to call it my time.py. If I run it, it shows me the time as an output. And notice this is the float time, right? So for humans, it's not really readable. And this is useful when you're comparing values together. So just a simple time, you can display it in float. But if I like to display time that is human readable, of course I could do so. So I can say something like import time is already there. So simply do a print. And this time I'm going to say the time that we can read is, and simply do time and use the ctime method. Save it and run it. And this instance, it says the time that we can read is Friday, March 11th, 10:13 and 53 seconds, and the year, of course, 2016. So again, this is the float one, the first, and the second one is the display of our time. If I need to display time, let's say at a later stage, so for instance, if I'm looking for the current time, which is 10:13 a.m., what would be the time after 15 from now? I could do so, okay, in Python. So I can say, let's say a variable later equals time dot time, and then simply add what, 15 or 20 or however many you like, and simply do a print, and this will be 15 seconds from now, and simply do a time.ctime, and then do a later, save it, run it, and it shows me the output that 15 seconds from now, here's the time, 10:15:32, and then of course the year 2016. So you can play around with time functionality in this way. Next, I'm going to move things forward. For example, if you like to see when your module was created, for instance, what time someone created it, maybe you have various developers or coders within the organization and each of them are saving various Python files, and you like to see exactly when those files were saved, and of course working with operating system times as well. All right, great. So let's move on. Let's do, I'm going to put a comment here. This is a new program. So instead of deleting the tab, I'm just going to start writing a new program here. So here I'm going to do an import OS and then my sys. And first I'm going to show you the statistics information of the file, for example, that is stored and when it was created and so on. So the first thing, I'm going to put a comment here, show stats of an existing file. And to do this, we do stinfo equals os dot stat, and then of course our file name, right? So we need the file name that we're looking for to seek information of. So for instance, there's a file called 8ball.py that's already saved in the Pythons folder, or it could be any file that you're interested in looking at. So once you give it a file name, simply display the results, print stinfo. If I run this, notice on the bottom it says the os.stat results, and it shows me the mode, the INO, the dev, and the mlink and UIDs as well, if any, okay? And then the time, of course, it was accessed, and so on. So details about this file is then provided to us, and likewise you can get information for any of these files. Now if I need to use the OSStat to receive, for example, the A time or the M time of the file, I could also do so. Okay, so let me show you that also. For example, put a comment here. So let's say using OS stat to receive, for instance, A time and M time of the file. This can be done by doing a print and simply do an access time of, what was the file name? It's 8ball.py is modulo s, and then my modulo st info.st, and then A time. Similarly, my next print would be for the M time. So I'm going to just copy the first line here because essentially the code is the same. So instead of A time, this would be M time. And instead of access time, I'm going to place modified. So first is the access time of 8ball, and the other one is modified time of 8ball. So when I execute this or run it, notice it shows me that the access time of 8ball is 133071280, and then the modified time is also displayed. Again, these are all float numbers. We can later convert them into human readable format as well. But this is good if you're comparing actual values between one file to the other file. Now I can also modify the A time and the M time. So for instance, I can do something like put a comment first, modifying the A time and M time. And I can do something like os.utime method and do my 8ball.py and then my numbers. So for example, the numbers are 133712280, right? So this is for my access time for the 8ball. So I can simply place the number here and get my spellings correct. And then once I modify the access time, I can also include the modified time as well. So copy this from the output and paste it for the OSU time. And simply do a print and do, let's say, a done. Save it, run it. All right, fix my errors here. Done. All right, my time, line 23, print done, doesn't like it. And the reason why is because I need to close the parentheses up on top for the U time. All right, great. So now it prints the output as done, okay? Great. So once we have the access and the modified time, for example, we can always modify both the A time and the M time as well. We can also go ahead and work with the time zone, for example. Okay, so next, let's say I want to do an import time and import OS. I already have those up there anyways. But let's do a def. I'm going to show you how to work with time zones. So I'm going to say show zone and then information. Info, put a semicolon or just a colon in fact, right after the definition, and then do a print and get my time zone. So it's time zone, TTZ name, and then simply do the time.tz name method. Let me move this up so we can see. Great. Next, I'm going to do a print, do another T zone, and here, for instance, I'm going to do a modulo D, and then within my parentheses, do another modulo D, close my quotation, and then do a modulo, and then of course specify the time zone method. So to specify the time zone, I'm going to do time.timezone. This will be for the first one, and then for the second, I'm going to do the same, time.timezone, and then of course my 3600. Make sure my parentheses are closed. I need 1, 2, 3, and I have 1, 2, and 3 parentheses open. Great. Next, I'm going to do another print, and this time I'm going to use the time zone, the DST format. So TDST, and just some spaces. And here I'm going to use the method daylight. Okay. And then finally, maybe do another one here. Print. And this time I'm going to use the t-time spaces. And here I'm going to use the c-time, so it's more readable for us. So time dot c-time. And then of course close my parentheses. Make sure we have our parentheses closed. Oh, right after the c-time, I need my, there we go. All right, so simple definition to show zone information. Once I'm done printing the required time zone, maybe do another print for the default, and finally close it up, show zone info. Perfect. Save it, run it. All right, line 31 doesn't like. What do we have? We're missing our slash here, of course. So right before T, we need to put a backslash. Great. Run it again. Still doesn't like line 31. Let's see what else we're missing. And of course, a comma. Yes. All right, perfect. Now our syntax is correct. So the default time zones in TZName is Eastern Standard Time and the Eastern Daylight Time. And of course, our zone and DST, and then the time is displayed. So this way, we can work with time access and conversions within Python. Let me show you a couple of other things with time while we're at it. So it's easier when you're writing a larger piece of code, for instance, or let's say you're involved in an e-commerce environment. You need to work with these time zones. And there's various methods that you can use, and you can always look it up within the library. I cannot cover all of them, but the important ones, I want to make sure you get to understand these, how Python works with time. So before I end this lesson, I'm going to quickly show you the last piece of time conversion here. So let's say import time and quickly do a print. And this time I'm going to use the gmtime and use the gmtime method. And just by running this, you'll notice it'll give me the gmtime structure. So the months, the days, TM hour, minutes, seconds, and so on. And I can do the same for the local time. I could do it for the MK time, for instance, and so on. So let me do one more so you can see before I end this lesson. So do a print. Let's do a local time. So this will be local time, and then comma, and then use time dot local time. Okay, great. Let's run it. What did we miss? Of course, our spelling here is local, so I missed the L. Let's run it again. Great. So now we have the output for our local time as well. So this way, Python is very powerful and really easy to use. Pretty straightforward. All you have to do is just sometimes look at the library and take a look at some of the methods that you want to use within your code, and you can manipulate and work with time access and conversions. So I hope this helps. Practice working with time functionality, and let's move to the next lesson.